Hey, Mama. Welcome back to the Thrive Mama podcast. I'm Martina, certified nutrition consultant and holistic health coach, and a mama of two, and I'm so glad you're here. I am here to help busy moms unlock their energy, balance their hormones, and break out of burnout using nutrition as a foundation. So on this podcast, we will dive into actionable strategies on nutrition, nervous system healing, and aligning with your cycles, with a healthy dose of relatable motherhood thrown in, all designed to help you move past surviving to actually thrive in motherhood. Let's do this. All right, mamas, we're feeling brave today because we are dropping a new podcast episode on October 3rd, 2025, which, if you're listening to this from the future, was the date that The Life of a Showgirl comes out. And let's just say Spotify is busy today. But we're here, we're showing up, we're dropping the episode because I've got something a little bit different for you that I really wanted to share. I am right in the middle of running my private limited time podcast series called Energy Unlocked. And it has been some of the most powerful and transformative free teachings that I've ever shared. And it's live for about one more week. So instead of sharing a brand new episode with you this week, I'm pulling back the curtain and giving you a sneak peek inside of Energy Unlocked. I'm going to share one of our episodes from inside the Secret podcast series with you. What you're about to hear is one of the most popular episodes from inside the series, where we unpack why your energy is not meant to be consistent like a machine, and how working with your cycle is a key to unlocking your vitality and actually breaking free from burnout. If you have ever felt frustrated by your inconsistent energy, by being on fire one week and on the couch the next week, this episode's really going to reframe everything for you. So we're diving deep here into menstrual cycle wisdom, both the biology and the energetics behind each phase of your cycle. And I'm sharing really tangible strategies for you to start implementing no matter which phase of your cycle you're in, so that you can start working with your energy instead of against it. And if you love this conversation, I want to invite you into the entire series. Energy Unlocked is live until October 9th. And there are 4 more episodes just like this, breaking down key aspects of thriving in our bodies, unlocking health and energy in motherhood. And I don't want you to miss it. So the link to join us is inside the show notes. You can come binge the whole series before it disappears next week. And I know you're going to walk away with tools and insights that make you feel even more energized and vibrant and alive in your body than you have in years. All right, let's dive in. Here is your sneak peek episode from inside of Energy Unlocked. Oh my gosh, we're back to the Energy Unlocked podcast series. Mama, welcome. I'm so excited to connect in with you today. And we're exploring today one of my favorite topics that is totally life-changing. So I'm so glad you're here. I am curious to hear how your daily snack shifts have been feeling. How is your energy? How is your relationship with time and energy shifting? Let's talk about it over in the Telegram community. We are all sharing snack ideas. We are celebrating wins. We have ongoing questions and coaching happening over there. So if you have not slid into the free Telegram group, make sure you do that so you can really bring all this beautiful information down into action, down into your real daily life. And before we move any further, let's take a quick moment to celebrate that the Energy Unlocked podcast is happening in honor of the Thrive Mama group coaching program. This is a completely transformational group coaching experience that really is designed as the roadmap out of survival mode and into thriving in your body. We build on all of the themes that we are discussing here, from blood sugar to hormones to energy production. We dive into gut health. We dive into micronutrients. We dive into detox. We dive into healthy, sustainable habits that you can stick with long term. And we also weave in the magic of frequency, of nervous system recalibration, We are doing constant subconscious reprogramming and nervous system expansion to help you find safety in your body and reconnect you with your soul self. This is like the perfect weaving together of the tangible daily nourishment with the woo, with the energy, with the magic that it takes to actually shift your frequency, your energy, and your vitality in your life. And every single round, one of the things I hear from folks that is their absolute favorite piece of this program is the community feature. We have an ongoing community space where we connect every single day. We are sharing daily integration actions, ongoing coaching and support and connection. We are in sisterhood together. We share recipe ideas. We work through blocks. It is so valuable. So this is not like an online course where you're just watching videos all day. This is designed to actually blend into your busy life. And it's designed for moms. So we're not here like telling you to get up 3 hours earlier or telling you to spend 5 hours meal prepping. We get it. We understand what it is like to be in this season of life because I'm in it with you. I am in the trenches with you. And it's designed to be sustainable and integrated and safe for your nervous system while still bringing the transformation that you deserve. I only run this program a few times a year, and doors are opening so soon. So, planting the seed now, if you're feeling the call, I know you are ready for this growth, for this investment back into yourself. And I'm so, so excited to welcome you in. But for today, we are talking about thriving when your energy is inconsistent. And I hear this all the time. I have no consistency. I can't stick with anything. I'm like on fire one week and then I'm like curled up on the couch the next week. I can do things for a while, but I can't keep up with them. I'm not consistent. And my answer to this is, of course you're not. You're not fucking meant to be. You are not meant to be linear. You are a cyclical being. And when we understand this and embrace this, it completely transforms how we work with our energy. Because one thing that I teach and that we really embrace inside of Thrive Mama is that your cycles are the roadmap for your energy. And when I say cycles, I do mean your menstrual cycle inside your body, but I also mean just like cycles at large. I mean the seasons of the earth. I mean the moon cycles. I mean the seasons of life that you go through. Sometimes it is bright summer outside, but we are going through kind of an internal winter. Like we're going through a lot of grief or loss or healing or retreat. And that's incredible. Like our internal seasons don't always match up with what's happening outside of us. But when we understand and honor our cycles, it unlocks this flow in our lives that I know we are all craving. And for the purpose of today's conversation, we are going to be really zooming in on the menstrual cycle, but just know that everything we're talking about is rippling out into cycles of all kind. And I am actually going to talk about how to work with this medicine, even if you are not currently having a menstrual cycle, even if your body's not bleeding. You are a cyclical being and you can access this medicine. So, in order to really do this justice, we do have to start with what has been lost in our relationship with our cycles. Like, why are we so disconnected from our cycles and our bodies? Because every single time I ask the question in a workshop or in a coaching call, how do we feel about our cycles, y'all? How do we feel? How do our cycles feel? What words come up when you think about your cycle? Without fail, I am hearing 90% words like annoying, painful, irritable, exhausted, depleting, dread. And those are real lived experiences, but they are a direct result of the environment and the society we were raised in. Because we as humans in the 21st century We have been conditioned to be in growth mode all the time. Society has glorified productivity and business and capitalism and goal setting and constant output. And not just output, but like quantity of output. And you can actually see this reflected in our biology. This is really fascinating to look at because if you look at male biology, reproductive biology, the male body produces millions of sperm every day. Okay, that is a direct mirror of the gold standard in society. Productivity, consistency, output, quantity. We celebrate that. Now let's look at female biology. Female biology teaches a different lesson. It's not about constant output and quantity. It is about patience. It is about focus. It is about intuitive discernment about which egg, which follicle needs to be produced, releasing only one every 28 days instead of millions every day. We produce one egg every 28 days. So we're focusing with female biology on intentionality and on quality over quantity and on trusting the timing. And I want you to look at those two dichotomies of our biology and ask, which process of creation does society celebrate more? Because that is not an accident. That's not a coincidence. That is a direct result of the patriarchy. And so, what I'm here to do is bring us back into the wisdom of being in a cyclical body and trust that blueprint to be in cycles of growth and cycles of rest. Nothing can be in growth all the time. Nothing can be in output all the time. Even nature, which is completely productive and abundant, it's always growing and expanding. It has to take seasons of rest. It has to take seasons of retreat where it seems like everything's dying and nothing's happening. But it couldn't grow if it didn't do that. Okay? There have to be the seasons of rest. And our society and our conditioning has not taught us how to do that. And I really believe one of the most powerful tools of the patriarchy has been to disconnect us from our cycles because our cycles are a deep well of wisdom, a deep well of wisdom. So, in this conversation today, there are kind of two threads we're weaving in. There is the biology, but there is also the energy. Okay, and I'm going to talk you through both because each phase has important biological things to support with our hormones and with our metabolism, but it also has energetic pieces and themes to support. So let's start with the biology because this is the period school that we all deserved to have growing up that most of us didn't get. But your cycle is about so much more than just bleeding once a month. Your cycle has four really powerful phases that each has its own medicine, its own wisdom, its own strength, its own challenge. And if we just ignore it and we try to show up the exact same way every day with the same schedule, the same productivity, the same expectations, we are ignoring our biology and we end up completely burning out because the brain changes throughout our cycle really significantly, like up to 25% different at different points in our cycle. And this isn't just the way the brain is functioning, it's actually the structural makeup of the brain. Your brain matter is shifting form throughout your cycle based on your hormones. 25% is huge. If you feel like you're not the same person every day, it's because you're really not the same person every day. And beyond just the brain, your metabolism, your insulin, your neurotransmitters, your digestion, your fat burning, your stamina, your cortisol, like it all changes throughout your cycle with your hormones in huge, huge ways. So you can already feel how it makes no sense to eat and exercise and sleep and work the same way every day if all of those things are shifting so much. And your different hormones that really run your cycle and help you thrive, they're created and detoxed in different times, in different ways. They need certain supports nutritionally. So we really need to be mindful of the needs of the body in each moment. And it's clear that currently our system is not working. The last statistic I saw was like 80% of women deal with hormonal issues of some kind. And that to me is unacceptable. Our hormones are a lifeline. Our hormones are these amazing communication vessels in our body and move information and direction and energy around to be used based on the needs of the body. So if we have 80% of women with hormonal issues, we are not in our full aliveness as women. This is why this is such a powerful tool of the patriarchy. We are not in our full aliveness as women when we are disconnected from our cycles and feeling stressed and depleted and sick. We're not. Now, there's also an energetic thread here because outside of just the biology, each phase has its own energetic blueprint and lesson that can really help to direct our energy, give us kind of a blueprint for when to push, when to rest. And I think it's helpful here when we're talking about preventing burnout to just compare masculine and feminine energy for a moment. And when I say masculine and feminine, I'm really not talking about gender or sex at all. What I'm talking about is the energetic archetype. And we all have masculine and feminine energy inside of us. We all have a balance of both, and both are important. Nothing of this conversation is like demonizing men or demonizing masculine energy. It's all important. And it all needs to be in balance. And I think we can all agree that currently in our bodies and in our lives, there is an imbalance between the two. One of my teachers, Elisa VT, who is a brilliant hormone and cycle syncing doctor, talks about male energy being a hockey puck. So we're talking about masculine energy here. Hockey pucks move forward when you give it a push. And the push in this case is like testosterone and cortisol in the masculine body or in the feminine body. We have testosterone and cortisol pushing us forward. Okay. The hockey puck is going to accelerate when we push it. It gets faster and then eventually it loses stamina and it decelerates and then stops. And that's basically what male hormones do every single day. The male hormonal pattern is a 24-hour cycle and it accelerates throughout the day. So you hit kind of a high point midday and then it decelerates as the day goes on and you hit kind of a lower point in the afternoon and evening. Notice how that is an exact mirror of most of our traditional work environments, where you get up in the morning, you work through the day, you kind of have like a productive, social window in the middle of the day, and then it decelerates later in the day, and we end with winding down and sleeping. That is a direct mirror of masculine energy. Feminine energy is cyclical, and it's kind of like a wheel. You give a wheel a push, and it actually can accelerate and gain momentum as it rolls. A hockey puck can't gain momentum, but a wheel can. As long as there's nothing impeding its path, it can gain momentum naturally as it rolls. And it turns around and around. If a wheel stayed at the same point the entire time, it would not be moving forward. You could argue that wheels are actually more powerful and more efficient, but only if they're allowed to turn. So, working with our cycles and our feminine energy helps us gain energy instead of depleting it. This is really important. When we have cycles where we actually honor what's happening in our body, we end that cycle with more energy than we started. It's like if you think back to the bank account analogy and we're investing in our energy bank, working with our cycles is constantly allowing our energy to compound instead of pulling out huge amounts at the wrong time. Now, I want to take a moment and just address if you are not cycling in your body, maybe you're on hormonal birth control, maybe you are pregnant or postpartum, you are still cyclical. Your body remembers cycles in its cells, okay? Your energy still needs to cycle, even if your hormones are not. And the best way we can do this is to use the moon as an anchor. We can use the moon as a blueprint because the moon is an exact mirror for our womb, and it can keep us connected to the wisdom of our cycles, even when we're in a season of life where we're not bleeding. I was actually talking to one of my friends the other day, and she was sort of venting about how she's having a week where she's just so unmotivated, but there's so freaking much to do. And she's like overwhelmed because she doesn't want to do it all. And also, her husband is pissing her off, and she's like second guessing everything about her marriage. She's like, I just can't stand him right now. And I pause her and I ask, I do this all the time. If you're friends with me, get used to it. I pause her and ask, hey, what phase of your cycle are you in right now? And she goes, oh, I don't know. I think I'm gonna start bleeding soon, like in the next week or so. And I say, ah, okay. Babe, there's nothing wrong here. There's nothing wrong here. You're just trying to push in a phase of your cycle that is not aligned. And we talked in depth about the luteal phase, the medicine of the luteal phase, how it brings up all these truths that need to be addressed, how it demands more internal time, how it demands more energetic boundaries, how you need to eat more food to fuel your metabolism. And by the end, I could feel in her voice the release of the gripping around forcing and pushing when she didn't feel like it, and giving herself radical permission to actually just accept the way her body works, which is we are not capitalistic machines that show up the same way every day. We get to ebb and flow. And when we understand where we are in our cycle, there's so much less resistance. There's so much less of the misaligned energy use. And there's so much more permissioning and flow and acceptance and self compassion. And since then, she texts me every single time she's in her luteal phase and is like, hey, I didn't even try to finish my chores list today. Or like, I clocked off work early. Or I told my husband I wanted an evening alone, or whatever she was doing to protect her energy, and it's completely transformed the way she feels month by month because she knows how to work with the energy. It's not miserable and frustrating, and because she knows it's coming, she can plan for it. This is so empowering. And this is what I want for all of you. I want you to have an energy blueprint that allows you to live your life in flow and alignment with your thriving body. Because no phase is a problem. Every phase has medicine. Now, that being said, there is such thing as hormonal imbalances that make our cycles really challenging. So there's a balance here because we do want to be in acceptance and self-compassion about our ebbing and flowing energy. That's so important. We can't expect ourselves to be in this like inner spring or inner summer every single day. But we also want to be aware of what's normal and not normal so that we don't settle for pain and discomfort and being miserable for 1 week every month. Like, that is not how our bodies were designed. And the fact that so many of us are settling for a miserable or painful or misaligned cycle is yet another really powerful tool of the patriarchy that convinces us that it's just how it is to be a woman and we just have to accept it. We're supposed to be in pain and miserable 1 week every month. It's not true. And that is where nutrition supports for every phase of your cycle makes a huge difference because nutrition impacts hormones. Hormones are built out of your micronutrients, out of your amino acids, out of your vitamins and minerals. And if we have an imbalance in the nourishment we need, or if our body is so busy dealing with stress cycles and imbalanced cortisol and gut disruption, and we're not detoxing correctly, we are not going to be able to thrive in our cycles. They are going to be really challenging to work with. So I just want to be really clear here that working with our cycles does have a thread of radical acceptance and also empowers us to reclaim them as a joy, as a superpower, not as an inconvenience or a painful reality that we just have to live with. I like to think of our cycles as like our internal weather forecast of the day. This is like your energy forecast of the day. Most of us, when we wake up, we check the weather app before we get dressed in the morning. That's very helpful context. So we know, am I wearing jeans or shorts? Am I grabbing sunscreen or an umbrella? Are we needing to shift our plans later today because of what the weather's doing? Like, it's helpful to keep a pulse check on the weather. And most of us keep an eye on that. And we wouldn't like get pissed if we don't check the weather and then it rains in the middle of our birthday party. We're like, ah, oh, damn, I should have checked the weather, right? The weather forecast is there. And the same is true inside of your body. There is a daily energy forecast happening in your body that most of us are ignoring. And then we get frustrated when our energy doesn't match what we wanted or expected to happen. But the forecast was there all along. We just didn't check it. So that is what tracking does for us. And this is actually your first daily do that I'm going to invite you into here. We are going to track our cycle, our entire cycle, not just the bleed. When I say track our cycle, most of us think about putting the day we bleed into an app, which is a great start. It's good to keep tabs on that. And tracking your cycle goes way beyond your bleed. In fact, your period is not the main event of your cycle at all. It's not really the point of your cycle. The point of your cycle is ovulation. And yet, most of us are not tracking that. So, tracking your cycle can be as simple as a daily check in your journal or on a piece of paper or in your notes app to write down what day of my cycle am I on and how do I feel. I like to do this in my journal, and I do this in the morning for the day before. So, for example, today I am on day 12 of my cycle. And so in my journal this morning, I wrote down what phase the moon was in because I know that impacts my energy as well. And I wrote down a few words to describe how I was feeling. I will capture in this tracking any physical symptoms, any emotional symptoms, energy levels, just a few words. This takes me 30 seconds. Literally writing down energized, clear, excited. Writing down I had a headache, exhausted, grumpy. Writing down terrible sleep, crazy dreams, very tired, whatever. You are capturing your snapshot of your energy and your physical functioning for the day. And as you do this over a couple of cycles, you will start to see patterns where every single cycle at certain points, you are experiencing similar things. And now you get to predict the freaking future. You know that on August 12th, you are going to be feeling this kind of way. You know that a week later, you're going to be feeling this kind of way. And that's so empowering. There are ways that you can actually schedule your life in advance, be intentional with your time, be intentional with your boundaries, what you're saying yes or no to, plan out certain projects and chores to align with your energy that exists so that you are really moving with the momentum of high energy phases and you're really leaving room for rest in low energy phases. So, this is the first step. The first invitation is to really start tracking your cycle. In the Telegram group, I'm going to be sharing examples of what my cycle tracker looks like, and we're going to start working through this together, how to start tracking every single day. Now, I think some of you may already be tracking, and I really want to start giving you one thing to integrate for your biology and for your energy, depending on what point of your cycle you're at. I don't want to leave you with just the awareness step. I do want to deepen into a few action items. These are going to be really simple and tangible, and just know that there is so much more going on than what I can just list here. I'm choosing one thing for each phase. But this is a good starting place. This is a beautiful foundation, and we deepen into this much more inside of Thrive Mama, inside of my programs. So right now, if you don't know what phase of your cycle you're in, I want you to check. Go look in your period app, figure out what day you're on. If you don't know what phase that is, Google it. What phase is day 20 and see what it says, because I'm going to talk you through each phase, and what to do for it. And then if you're not cycling, I'm also going to share the moon phase that matches up. So you can check right now what moon phase is today and then align that to these action steps I share. So let's start with the follicular phase. This is the waxing moon. So if it's the waxing moon as you're listening to this, you're going to do this action step. If you are in your follicular phase, you're going to do this action step. For nutrition, for your biology, you are going to make a smoothie for breakfast every day this week. That is your biology. That's something that you really need. Light, energizing, nutrient dense. Make a smoothie. For your energy, I'm going to ask you to plan some family fun adventure this week. Plan something out of the house that's a little out of the ordinary that is fun. Maybe the zoo, maybe you go to like a play cafe, maybe you take a family bike ride, maybe you plan like a impulsive weekend road trip, whatever feels accessible for you. Some kind of fun family adventure you're making happen in your follicular phase or if it's the waxing moon, okay? If you are in ovulation or if it is the full moon, for your biology, I'm going to ask you to eat broccoli. Eat broccoli today. That's simple, right? Can't get more simple than that. And you can also drink a fresh fruit or vegetable juice. That's really beautiful and supportive in the ovulation phase. So if you have a juicer or you have access to like a juice bar that's freshly juicing things, grab yourself a juice. For your energy, you are going to try to get your hands on some childcare and have a date night over the next couple days. Give it a try. I know it's not always easy, but give it a try. If childcare is not accessible to you, at least try to do a fun activity with your partner after bedtime. Do something connective and fun. Highly recommend a dance party. Ovulation was made for dance parties. Just do it. Thank me later. If you are in the luteal phase or you're in the waning moon, you're going to, for your biology, eat some dark chocolate today and eat some sweet potato every day for the next few days. Okay, sweet potato, dark chocolate. Pretty simple. For your energy, oh my gosh, there's so much I could say about energy in the luteal phase. In fact, there's a whole podcast episode on my Thrive Mama podcast over on Spotify that is like deep in the luteal phase recommendations. So if you want more luteal phase, go over there. But for the purpose of this podcast journey, I'm going to ask you to set some energetic boundaries today and for the next few days. Energetic boundaries. Some examples of this would be take a few hours without your phone. That is an energetic boundary. Put your phone in a totally different room and leave it alone for a few hours. Another example of an energetic boundary is you take a solo walk by yourself. Maybe you take a nap. Maybe you tell your family that you're not open to certain conversations. Whatever your energetic boundaries are or need today, you are setting them. Your luteal phase demands it. And then last but not least, if you are in the menstrual phase, if you're bleeding, or if it's a new moon outside, if you're not bleeding, you can work with the moon. So this is for the new moon ladies. You're going to eat some lentils and leafy greens every day during your bleed. Lentils, leafy greens. Pretty simple. For your energy, you're going to take a break in your day and you're going to go journal in the woods, preferably out in nature, or in the bathtub. Either one is great. It doesn't matter what you journal. In fact, the best thing to do in your menstrual phase is do kind of free writing. Just see what comes out. I am here. What wants to come out of me? Just write until something comes. It's really powerful what can come out during your bleed. So that is your recommendation for the menstrual phase. Lentils and leafy greens. And for your energy, take a break and go journal in the woods or in the bathtub. Feel free to re-listen to that and take some notes so that as you move through your next month, you actually have a couple of tangible things you can do to honor your biology and to honor your energy. I just gave you an entire month's blueprint, very foundational, but still powerful to start supporting your hormones, your metabolism, your balance, and your energy. So, my love, I know I can feel the powerful shifts happening in you, in your subconscious, as we begin to remember the wisdom that is waiting inside of your own body. And this is something that is woven into every element of Thrive Mama because it is not enough just to have a meal plan that we repeat over and over. It's not enough to have daily habits that we expect to be the same every day. We spend plenty of time exploring, how do our morning routines look different at different phases of our cycles? How does meal prep look different? How do I set boundaries with my family? What does my self-care look and feel like? How does my hydration change? How does my exercise change? Like it's all foundational. And when you begin to honor the blueprint of your energy, your daily energy weather forecast, everything begins to shift and your body and your vitality like comes to life. So, cannot wait to deepen into this with you over in the Telegram group today. We're going to start tracking our cycle. We're going to weave in those cycle syncing invitations and action steps. And next episode, we are going to be closing our journey together and really getting deep into what it means, what it looks like, what it takes to activate our energy. I can't wait to see you there. And until we meet again, take beautiful care of yourself.